Free food for you and your family. 6 words. From a corporate suit named Michael Colen. And the second Nevaeh Akira heard them relayed back to her. Full baby bump. Camera on. Chat exploding. Her face did something you can't fake. That flicker. That half smile that isn't really a smile. Something between disbelief and finally, somebody sees me. Now watch the second beat. Because the phone call wasn't the story. The phone call was the permission slip. Y'all didn't see what I saw. By the way, if you're new here, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and drop a like before we go any deeper, because the read on this one is layered, and I'm not repeating myself once we're moving. Before we get into the tape, let me set the table properly, because context is everything on this one, and the timeline pages keep skipping the setup. This stream didn't happen in a vacuum. It happened inside one of the most chaotic 14-day stretches Blueface has ever produced. And for Blueface, that is saying something. This is a man whose entire public identity since roughly 2019 has been built on escalation. The viral Thoshiana run, the Cardi B and YG remixes that pushed the record to number 8 on the Billboard Hot 100, the OnlyFans era mansion content, the Blue Girls Club, the Krisian rock saga that spanned arrests, proposals, paternity questions, and a baby born while the relationship was publicly on fire. Every era of this man's career has had a frame, a narrative he controlled. The question we're actually answering today is whether he still controls this one. Because on the surface, August 2026 looks like a win streak. He's home. He's streaming daily on Kick. He's got a new girlfriend, a baby on the way, a viral incident that ended with a corporate apology. If you only read the headlines in order, it looks like a redemption montage. That's the surface. We don't do surface here. On August 11th, 2026, TMZ ran the clip that lit the fuse. Blueface bolting from his own house after allegedly walking in on Nevaeh Akira, sitting in a closet in front of a small shrine with candles lit. Voodoo, he called it. Practicing witch, he called her. 2 nights earlier, the Yard House waiter incident had already gone viral. The one where a server allegedly approached Blueface and Nevaeh's table asking if they'd been smoking inside the restaurant. He hadn't. She hadn't. The stream caught it. TMZ ran it. The internet ran with it. Then the phone rang. That's when things get interesting. Now, quick sidebar, because the Yard House incident itself deserves 30 seconds of respect. Think about what that moment actually was. A server walks up to a table, on a live broadcast, mind you. Cameras already rolling because these two essentially live on camera now, and accuses them, in front of thousands of viewers in real time, of smoking inside the restaurant. According to the clips that circulated, both of them denied it on the spot. No smoke, no smell, no evidence the public ever saw. Just an accusation, delivered to a man 9 months out of prison, at a chain restaurant, while his 9 months pregnant girlfriend sat across the table. The internet did what the internet does. Some people clowned the waiter. Some people clowned Blue. Some people said it was a setup. Some said it was a misunderstanding. Some said the server was fishing for a viral moment of his own. We'll probably never know what that waiter was actually thinking. What we do know is what happened next, because it happened on a recorded phone line. And that recording tells us way more about the state of play in that house than any shrine clip ever could. And one more thing before we press play on the call itself. Notice who the story was about before the phone rang. The Yard House clip was a Blueface story. The Voodoo clip, 2 nights later, would be a Blueface story. For roughly a year at that point, every single story in that orbit had been a Blueface story, with Nevaeh cast in a supporting role at best and a punchline at worst. Keep that in mind, because the phone call is the moment the billing quietly started to change, and I don't think he noticed. Let me walk you through the actual receipts. Not the noise around them, the receipts. Hi, this is Michael Colen. I'm Director of Operations for Yard House in Southern California. Corporate voice. 23 years with the company. By his own admission, he apologizes, not once, not twice. 3 times in the opening minute. Horrible, horrible, horrible situation. Those are his exact words on the call. Then, I would love to invite you and your family back in for dinner or lunch, or whatever completely on us. Then a beat later. At any time in the future, if you're going to go in and you need a table, you just text me. Table. How many people? What time? and I will get you in a lot quicker. Read that back. That's not a comp meal. That's a standing invitation. That's the kind of thing you extend to a regular you can't afford to lose. Or to a viral guest you can't afford to have back on the timeline for a second round of bad press. Let's sit on Michael Colen for a second, because his side of this call is its own little masterclass in corporate damage control, and it's worth understanding the machine that produced him. Yard House is not a mom and pop. It's a national chain, dozens of locations, part of the Darden Restaurants family, the same group that operates Olive Garden and Longhorn Steakhouse, a company like that has a playbook for viral incidents, and the playbook does not include argue with the celebrity. It includes escalate fast, apologize fast, comp fast, and get the story off the timeline before the second news cycle. A director of operations with 23 years in the company calling personally, not a manager, not a PR firm, a director of operations, tells you exactly how high the internal alarm went when that waiter clip started doing numbers. Somebody at Yard House Corporate watched that stream, saw the view counts, and made a decision within about 48 hours. This man will never have a reason to tweet about us again. And to be fair, from a pure business standpoint, it's the right call. The cost of one comp dinner for a party of 6 or 7 is nothing. The cost of a standing text-to-director reservation line is nothing. The cost of a second viral Blueface at Yard House incident, this time with the "they did it again" headline attached, that's a national brand story. Colen wasn't being generous. He was buying insurance, reportedly with a smile in his voice the whole time. Blueface, Jonathan Porter on the caller ID, plays it smooth. I appreciate the gesture, man. This is a nice place I like to eat personally. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock, 6 or 7 people. Fork request pending. That fork line, by the way, is doing more work than people realize. If you caught the stream, you know. There's a running bit about the silverware, about the details of the reservation, and Blue leans into it. It's charming, honestly. It's the most relaxed he's sounded on camera in weeks. And that relaxation matters, because of what it immediately precedes. Remember the emotional temperature of this exact minute. Warm, triumphant, a man being courted by corporate America in front of his audience. Cool moment for Yard House. Cooler moment for Blue. But that's not the moment I'm here to talk about. Watch what happens the second he clicks off. Yard House calling my phone, try to make it up to me. He tells the chat. He tells Nevaeh, her face. You can see it in the stream. Goes to that place a woman's face goes when she realizes, in real time, that this man is about to be handed a small win, and she has front row seats to whether or not it lands on her too. I want to freeze this frame for a second, because if you've been following this relationship for more than a week, you know that Nevaeh has not had a lot of wins on camera. The wins have been going one direction. The cheating admission went one direction. The too big comment went one direction. The voodoo clip, which, remember, was already in the TMZ pipeline by this point, went one direction. So when a corporate director calls the house and says, you and your family, what you're watching on her face is not excitement about mozzarella sticks. You're watching a woman doing real-time math on whether the word family includes her. Then Blue says the line that mattered more than the whole phone call. They said free food for you and your kids. Then corrects himself. For the family. Those are the exact words. Which was kind of cool. That's the tell. Right there. That's the pivot the timeline missed. Actually, hold on, back up. Because I need y'all to understand why that pivot matters. And to understand that, we gotta rewind past Yard House entirely. Nevaeh Akira and Blueface didn't have a normal on-ramp. She linked with him almost immediately after he walked out of prison on November 2nd, 2025. 21 months served on a 2-year sentence. That's not a courtship. That's a collision. Think about the psychology of that entry point for a second. A man does 21 months. He comes home to a landscape that has, frankly, moved on without him. Krazian doing her own content. Jaden doing hers. The streaming meta having shifted. His own name still ringing out, but more as a meme engine than a music career. And within weeks, reportedly, there's a new woman in the frame. Not slowly introduced. Not soft-launched. Fully integrated into the stream, the house, the storyline. Now, to be clear, and I want to be careful here, because this is a real person. None of this is an accusation against Nevaeh. People meet in weird circumstances every day. But the pace matters for understanding everything that follows, because a relationship that starts at sprint speed doesn't develop the normal trust infrastructure. There's no quiet year. There's no private foundation. It's all built on camera, in public, with an audience of millions serving as the third person in the relationship from day one. By February 22nd, 2026, Capital XDRA was reporting they were expecting his fourth child, a boy, reportedly named Solar Porter. Due date, sitting somewhere around August 24th, 2026, which means the phone call happened with her at 39 plus weeks pregnant. Full term, full camera, full public. Do the timeline math with me, because it tightens the whole story. Home in early November, publicly linked within weeks. Pregnancy announced by late February, baby due late August. That's a relationship that went from 0 to forever in about 9 months, and it did every single mile of it in front of a live stream audience. The maternity photos they dropped in July, the ones with blue captioning "Family First," as reported across Instagram aggregators, were barely 3 weeks old when the Yard House call came in. 3 weeks between "Family First" and "What have you done in 25 years?" Hold that thought. Now stack the other beats. In July, TMZ ran the "She's Too Big for Sex" clip. Somewhere in that same window, Blue admitted on stream to sleeping with Chrisean Rock, his ex, mother of Chrisean Jr., while Nevaeh was carrying his son. Complex logged it. Yahoo picked it up. Let's be precise about what that TMZ clip actually was, because the headline flattened it. In the segment, per TMZ's own reporting, the conversation was framed around the couple discussing their intimacy during the pregnancy, with Nevaeh herself on record saying she doesn't get pleasure while pregnant. It wasn't a drive-by insult. It was a couple oversharing on camera, which is its own genre of problem. But here's the thing about headlines. Nobody reads the context. The internet ran "Blueface says Nevaeh is too big for sex" as a standalone humiliation, and that is the version that lives forever. She knows that. He knows that. And it happened while she was pregnant with his child, weeks before the due date. Then Nevaeh booked a lie detector test. Not one, at least two. The most recent one had a question set that included, and I quote from the reporting, "Have you had intercourse with anyone else besides Jonathan Porter since he's been home from prison in November 2025? Answer: no. Result marked true. She scheduled the test in Indiana, her home state. Blueface, according to Facebook clip aggregators, appeared frustrated she'd booked it without his input. She did it anyway. And here's a detail that got almost no play, but absolutely should have. According to clips circulated by All About the Tea on Facebook, the paperwork from one of those tests reportedly identified the facility, a polygraph office in Carmel, Indiana, an Indianapolis suburb. Professional setup, real paperwork, and per those same clips, Blue was allegedly furious that the paperwork, including the location, ended up visible on camera. Think about why. Not because the test happened, because the documentation of the test happened. There's a difference between taking a polygraph for the relationship and taking one for the record. Everything about how she did it. Home state, professional facility, retained paperwork, says record. That's not the behavior of a woman spinning. That's the behavior of a woman building a paper trail. Now, is a polygraph ironclad evidence? No. Polygraphs aren't admissible in most court proceedings, and any honest attorney will tell you they measure stress responses, not truth. But that's not why you take one on the timeline. You take one because it's legible, the audience understands it. The receipts page can screenshot it, and it flips the burden of proof. He admits cheating on camera. She answers with a documented, professional, third-party administered no, marked true. One of those ages well. The other one is the well. Okay, now go back to the phone call. Zoom in on one specific fragment of that stream. Not the call itself, the chatter around it, because this is where the whole architecture reveals itself. Blue tells the chat about the free dinner. Nevaeh perks up. Then, and I mean seconds later, he's back on his usual bit, the suck bit, the "what have you done in 25 years other than" bit. And Nevaeh, who a minute ago was hyped about tomorrow's dinner, is now defending her entire adult life on a stream, while contractions are theoretically incoming. I moved 1,000 miles away from all my family at 19, into a state I knew nobody in. She said that. That was her answer. That was her resume. Let me contextualize that resume line, because it deserves better than being a soundbite. Indiana to Los Angeles is roughly 2,000 miles, depending on the route. She said 1,000. You get the spirit. And she made that move at 19 with no local support system, per her own on-stream account. Whatever you think of her choices since, that's a real thing to have done. That is a biography chapter. And in the ecology of that stream, it functioned as one. It was the answer she reached for when asked to justify her existence. Not, I'm carrying your son. Not, I run this house. I moved 1,000 miles away from all my family at 19. That's a woman whose sense of her own worth is anchored in something that predates him. Remember that. It matters for the ending. He pulled it out of her like a splinter. And then, dead serious, listen to this cadence, he goes. See, I'm just trying to pull the best out of you. Okay, that's the frame he wants. The tough love mentor. The Socratic boyfriend. The man asking hard questions for her own growth. And look, I want to steelman this for a second, because it's the defense his fans ran in every comment section under that clip. Motivation through pressure is a real coaching style. Blue came up through football. He played at Fayetteville State before the music popped, per his own biography. And that locker room, get on your partner, demand more energy is a real dialect in some relationships. If that were the pattern both directions, if she also got to interrogate his 28 years on camera, if the Socratic method flowed both ways, maybe you squint and call it their dynamic. But watch the tape. It doesn't flow both ways. It never flows both ways. The Inquisitions have one address. Except, the question started right after Yard House called. Right after the wind landed in his lap. Right after he was the one being extended a corporate hand and a comp meal. That's when the interrogation began. You feeling what I'm feeling? Let me pull one more receipt, and then I'll say the thing. His aunt, Faith Porter, went on record, via Blue Rock TTV's Instagram, addressing whether Nevaeh's spiritual beliefs align with the Porter family's, given her alleged strong spiritual background. The family was already aware. The family was already talking. Pause here, because this is a bigger deal than it played as. When a family member goes on record to a T-page about the girlfriend's spiritual life, that's not gossip, that's positioning. Families don't accidentally talk to Blue Rock TTV. Somebody decided the Porter family perspective on Nevaeh's beliefs needed to be in the public record, and it needed to be there before whatever came next, whether that was Faith freelancing or the family testing the water. The effect is the same. The voodoo narrative had a runway. It didn't come out of nowhere when Blue opened that closet door. It had been taxied into position. Then a couple days later, TMZ has Blue running out of the house, calling her a voodoo witch. And look, the closet clip itself, per TMZ's account, is stranger than the headline. He opens the door, finds her on the floor in front of a small shrine with lit candles, and his reaction is to leave the house, on camera, narrating it. Then, per follow-up clips that circulated on Facebook, via All About the Tea, he was reportedly back later touching items on the altar while she reacted. So the fear wasn't even consistent. It was a bit, a spooky bit, content. And I want to be careful here, because spiritual practice is real and personal, and plenty of people keep altars and candles for a dozen traditions that have nothing to do with what he called it. But even taking his reaction at face value, notice what he didn't do. He didn't have a private conversation with the mother of his incoming child about her beliefs. He streamed his exit, and on the stream we're breaking down, Blue asks her, casually mid-chat, how she feels about the internet reacting to her religious beliefs. She's calm. They're gonna say what they want to say. I don't feel no way. He presses. Testimonies? Rituals? Proof. She declines. I cannot share that with them. Real talk. That's the most composed answer she gives all stream. And it's the one he's the least interested in. Interesting, right? Because here's the contradiction sitting in plain sight. He calls her a voodoo witch to TMZ. The maximum heat framing. The framing that generates a headline. And then on the stream, when she offers him a calm, thoughtful, human answer about her faith, he tries to pull specifics out of her that he can react to. He doesn't want the composed answer. The composed answer doesn't clip. I cannot share that with them, is the correct answer to give an audience of strangers. It's boundary setting. It's dignified. It's the thing every PR person would tell her to say. And it is useless to a streamer looking for a moment. He needed testimony. She gave him a boundary. Score that round however you want. I know how I score it. And this is the pattern that keeps repeating if you zoom out past this week. With Krazian, the private conflicts became public episodes. With Jaden, same. The through line of the entire Blueface extended universe is that private life gets converted to content at the moment of maximum volatility, and the person being converted never gets a say in the edit. Nevaeh watched that movie with 2 other women before she ever sat in the theater herself. She knows how it ends, which is why I'd argue she behaves the way she behaves in every clip we've just walked through. Alright, here's the read the timeline missed. The mainstream take on this clip is look at Blueface getting a corporate apology. Look at Nevaeh's cute reaction. Free dinner. Wholesome moment before baby arrives. Wrap-up energy. TMZ B-roll energy. Feel-good filler between the drama posts. Nah, that call was a pressure release valve, and it exposed the actual power dynamic in that house before anybody realized it was recording something bigger than a meal. Here's what I mean. Blueface just came home from 21 months in a cell. He has, by his own volume, been publicly performing dominance ever since. The cheating admission, the too big for sex comment, the constant on-stream inquisitions about her past. Every single one of those beats is a man reasserting his silhouette after nearly 2 years of being told when to eat, when to sleep, when to shower. And let's be fair about the reality underneath that, because it is real. Re-entry is brutal. 21 months inside. And you come home to a world where your relevance has to be rebuilt daily. Your relationships have been on autopilot or on fire. And your earning mechanism, attention, has been compounded against you the whole time you were gone. Other people got the views while he was away. Other people told his story while he was away. A certain amount of thrashing when you get home is human. I'd go further. It would be strange if he wasn't scrambling to reassert himself. But scrambling has a cost. And the cost keeps getting billed to the same person. Yard House hands him a script where he gets to be the aggrieved party, the respected patron. The man, a 23-year corporate lifer, apologizes to 3 times in 60 seconds. Michael Colen didn't just offer dinner. He offered Blue a role. Head of household. Man being made whole. Class act patron. And the first thing Blue does with that role, literally the very next segment of the stream, is turn around and interrogate his 39-week pregnant girlfriend about what she's done with her 25 years on Earth. Because the win didn't fill the hole. The win reminded him of the hole. That's not me armchair diagnosing. That's the tape talking. Watch the sequence back. Corporate apology, free food invitation, jokes about forks, then, without a real transition. In your 25 years of living, all you're known for is sucking D******. Don't tell me that's coincidental pacing. Don't tell me that's stream ADHD. That's a specific psychological handoff. He absorbed the compliment and immediately needed to hand out a demerit. And here's the detail that seals the read for me. The one I keep coming back to. He didn't say free food for me. He said, and corrected himself to say, for the family. Those are the exact words, which was kind of cool. Even in his moment of triumph, the part he chose to underline was the part that included her. He heard family, and it registered as the meaningful part. And then, minutes later, he's asking her what she's ever done. That's not cruelty with a strategy. That's a man who cannot hold the good feeling and the resentment at the same time. So he alternates. Compliment, demerit. Family. Then, what have you done in 25 years? The whiplash is the relationship. And Nevaeh, sharp part, she saw it. Her whole demeanor from that moment forward is a woman not answering questions, but building a record. I moved from Indiana. I got here at 19. I did it on my own. She's not defending herself to him. She's defending herself to the archive. Because y'all better believe she knows exactly what a live stream is. Exactly what a lie detector is. Exactly what a paper trail is. Exactly what a viral clip of a corporate manager saying, free food for you and your family, is worth 6 months from now when the custody conversations start. She's not naive. She's documenting the reaction that said it all. wasn't shock at the phone call. It was recognition. Recognition that the man asking her what she's ever accomplished just got handed a whole restaurant chain's apology tour, and still couldn't sit in it for 4 minutes without needing to make her small. Call that whatever you want. Growth isn't the word. Now let's talk about where this actually lands. Watch how the next 30 days unfold, because Solar Porter is coming. And once that baby breathes air, the entire chessboard rearranges overnight. The stream leverage Blue currently holds, the ability to control the frame, cut the camera, set the topic. That shrinks the second there's a newborn on hip. Newborns don't care about your monologue. Newborns don't wait for a beat drop. And there's a harder-edged version of this too. Once the baby arrives, everything Nevaeh has been building, the polygraph paperwork from Indiana, the on-stream record of her composure, the contrast between his admissions and her documented answers, stops being internet content and starts being potential exhibits. I'm not predicting a custody fight. I'm saying the materials for one are being assembled in plain sight, by both of them, one viral clip at a time. Every family law attorney watching this space already knows it. She acts like she knows it. He acts like the stream ends when he turns the camera off. Don't be shocked when Nevaeh's next 90 days look like a slow, deliberate content pivot toward her platform, her frame, her posting cadence, with the lie detector results conveniently pinned to her page and the Yard House clip conveniently not buried. She's been quietly stacking proof of character receipts since the Krzian cheating admission dropped. The polygraph in Indiana wasn't for the chat. It was for whoever eventually asks. The next flip lands when the internet, and I mean the real algorithm, not the drama accounts, decides the sympathy pipeline. Right now Blue's holding the mic. But every voodoo witch clip, every she's too big clip, every closet shrine screenshot is fuel for a reversal narrative the second she posts a single vulnerable IG live from a hospital bed. The shade rooms already lean soft on her. Remember the abortion clip where Blue and his son comforted her? That's the muscle memory the audience already has. That door is open, and the audience infrastructure for the flip is already built. This is the part people underestimate. The same aggregator ecosystem that amplifies Blue's chaos, the T-pages, the clip accounts, the kick re-uploads, is structurally neutral. It amplifies whoever generates the emotion. The day Nevaeh becomes the emotional center of the story, the same machine that built his comeback narrative builds hers, and it will not ask his permission. He spent a year training an audience to watch his house. He has no say over what they eventually root for inside it. 5 years out, here's the aftershock nobody's plotting. This whole era, the streaming as relationship therapy era, the kick-ass courtroom era, Blueface and Krzian and Jaden and now Nevaeh as a single interlocking storyline. This becomes the case study. Not the music, not the beefs, the content model. When some future documentary maps how hip-hop stopped happening in studios and started happening in bedrooms with a ring light. This exact stretch, welcome home fights, lie detectors, closet shrines, Yard House phone calls, is the montage. And in that montage, Blue is not the protagonist. He's the guy who couldn't tell that the room had already turned. He's still yelling in an empty theater. The exit signs came on around the time Michael Colen said, "We want to make it right." And if you want one image to carry out of this whole breakdown, take this one. A man on a phone being apologized to by corporate America in front of thousands of people with a free dinner locked in for tomorrow at 8. 6 or 7 people. Fork request pending. And across the room, a woman at 39 weeks, half smiling at the words, "You and your family," quietly doing math he'll never see. One of them won the day on camera. The other one won the archive. We know which one matters. We've always known. The timeline's just late. That's your read. That's the piece the drama pages walk past. If it hit the way I think it hit, tap that like, subscribe, ring the bell. I'm running the follow-up the second the baby lands and the next chapter cracks open. Fame Cryptix out.